Today, let's talk about the rumored telephoto upgrade with the iPhone 17 Pro because this could change the focal lengths available, and so let's dive in. So for those unaware, we have heard a lot about a new 48 megapixel telephoto lens coming to the iPhone 17 Pro. This was the last lens still on 12 megapixels, as the main camera had moved to 48 megapixels with the 14 Pro, and the ultra-wide lens had moved to 48 megapixels with the 16 Pro. Now with the telephoto switching to 48 megapixels, Apple apparently plans to offer 3.5x optical zoom instead of the 5x currently offered with the 15 and 16 Pro. You may think this sounds like a downgrade, but 3.5x optical zoom is equivalent to 85mm, which is better suited for portraits, and that's what most use the telephoto for in the first place. Also do remember, like the main sensor having a 2x digital crop, having a high resolution telephoto means digital zoom will be a lot better on the 17 Pro, and you can zoom in and get higher resolution photos with this new phone. You get a max of 25x digital zoom with the 16 Pro Max, so maybe expect 30 or 40x zoom with the 17 Pro Max, whilst offering higher quality photos at those higher zoom levels. Now let's move on to the design changes we can expect with these Pro models that we see in new dummy models. Now the dummy models are from leaker Sonny Dixon, who has been pretty credible in the past, and whilst there is a wide array of models shown in the photo, if we focus on the Pro models first, we can see there is the new camera bar. Now this will encompass a triple lens layout that's pretty familiar, but the mic flash and LiDAR have moved to the right side. Now moving down, you'll see there's a cutout below the camera bar, and inside this area is the MagSafe ring. Well, this will be the glass portion of the device. The rest of the chassis will now be aluminium, including the camera bar, but obviously this will still need to support wireless charging, hence why there is a glass portion which could give us a two-tone finish. There have also been rumors that we could see reverse wireless charging finally on the iPhone, and the glass logo will be an indicator where you can place your AirPods and top them up using your iPhone. This has been long rumored, but I hope we finally see it with the 17 series. Now the regular iPhone 17 does not look very different and is near identical to the iPhone 16, but we also do have iPhone 17 Air featured in this leaked image, and actually Sonny Dixon had shared a case for the 17 Air, which shows us the visor camera bar similar to Pixel devices. However, as you can see, there's only going to be one camera lens on the left side of the device. Now there is no cutout below the camera bar on the 17 Air, which does make me think the back panel is going to be completely glass, similar to current iPhones, and only that camera bar is going to be aluminium. Also, we see MagSafe is here for those worrying this might be too thin to actually fit MagSafe. Thankfully, that's not the case. The 17 Air also has space for the action button as well as camera control, so yes, despite it being 5.5mm in thickness, you're still getting flagship hardware features, even though camera control is pretty useless, so I wouldn't have cared if they removed it. Let's next talk about thermal upgrades. But before we get into that, sub to the channel would be appreciated. It's free and will bring you the latest about Apple right to the subscription box, so please consider it. Join the saranbyte gang now. So Chinese leaker Instant Digital says Apple's going to incorporate a vapor chamber heatsink for better thermal performance, which by the way has been reported in the past by another source called MyDrivers. This technology is already popular in the Android space, and if you're wondering how it works, essentially these chambers spread heat evenly across a large surface area, and this prevents thermal throttling so the device can maintain its peak performance for longer. This is great news for Genshin Impact nerds who game on their phone for many hours. But it's not just a benefit for gamers. Taking lots of photos and videos can heat up your device as well, so improved thermals would improve the camera experience, since the phone likely wouldn't be forced to dim the screen to make up for it overheating. Now of course, I do want to mention the iPhone 16 series did have thermal upgrades, which made a difference in my testing. I believe they'd include a graphene sheet to dissipate heat, but a vapor chamber will make an even bigger difference when you're pushing the device to the extreme, like gaming or heavy usage of the camera as I'd mentioned, and ultimately I'll take any thermal upgrades. MyDrivers had suggested the complete iPhone 17 range was going to get this thermal upgrade, and that made sense to me because the Air, especially being so razor thin, does need better thermals to prevent any overheating issues. But Instant Digital claims only the Pro phones with the A19 Pro are getting a vapor chamber system, so that those devices can maintain high performance under heavy workloads with virtually no throttling. That's cool, but I would like to see that come to the complete range, and do remember the complete iPhone 16 range did get the graphene sheet. We also hear from analyst Jeff Poo that we could see 12 gigs of RAM in the iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max, up from 8 gigs in the 16 series. I'm assuming Apple's mainly giving us this RAM upgrade for Apple Intelligence, but it should also help apps stay in the background for longer and should help future-proof these devices. However, do note this only applies to the Pro phones. The regular 17s are likely going to stick to 8 gigs, so even if we do see thermal upgrades across the board, the Pro phones are going to have the upper hand in terms of raw specs, thanks to the A19 Pro and 12 gigs of RAM. Moving on, the 17 Air may be one of the first iPhones to use a higher density battery. Now, it makes sense to use the technology with a device that's naturally going to have space constraints because it will be so thin, and so high density battery allows a lot of energy to be stored within a small physical space. So that means we could potentially get a 4000 mAh battery in the 17 Air that does not take up too much space inside the actual device. This, combined with the fact we should see the very efficient C1 modem, means battery life should still be solid on the Air, which is good to see because that was undoubtedly a concern many would have with such a thin device. And it's not just the Air getting a bigger battery, the Pro Max also is getting a battery boost. Leaker Ice Universe mentions the device will be getting even thicker, with it now being 8.25mm in thickness, which is a 0.475 increase due to a larger battery. Now, I do wonder if it's only the Air using the higher density battery technology, or if the complete range is getting this upgrade. I'm guessing because it's new technology, only the Air gets it for now, but since there's no space constraints as such with the Pro Max, they can just pack it to the brim with a humongous lithium-ion battery. I'm still waiting for the day we get a 5000 mAh battery in the Pro Max. Coming to the camera, we have news that we could see 8K video on the iPhone 17 Pro. Now, this is coming from a Weibo source, and it seems unsure if they're talking about 8K video or the phone costing 8,000 yuan. But regardless, I think there is a small chance this could pan out. Why do I think this? Well, Gurman said Apple is going to position the iPhone 17 Pro as a content creation machine. And yes, I know 8K video is not very popular right now, but Apple could make it more popular with the iPhone if there is a difference in quality. We have heard about 8K video coming to the iPhone before, but this will be the first year all three lenses will be 48 megapixels. And so now theoretically, you should be able to record 8K video with the ultra-wide, wide, and telephoto. So yeah, this year would be perfect to launch this. And now let's see what you guys are saying in the comments. So David Lazarus says, my latest predictions are that Apple is going to continue playing catch up with every other brand. Another prediction is that Saran is going to be disappointed with the colors. Now that second part is probably true. I'm always disappointed with the colors. I'm hoping that we get some vibrant shades this year, but of course, Apple's always going to somehow disappoint me when it comes to colors. But regarding your first point, yes, on paper, Android phones are ahead hardware-wise. That's always been the case. However, I still think the iPhone has the edge when it comes to software optimization. I know iOS 18 hasn't been perfect, but still, Apple is the one that has control over the hardware and software experience, unlike other OEMs. And so usually, despite them being late to giving us specific features, they do still add the Apple spin to it and make it worth the wait. I'm sure that's going to be the case with the telephoto. It will be higher quality, I reckon. Yes, that is a very Apple sheep response. And by the way, I'm someone who has a Galaxy S24. I'm very happy with Samsung devices and I do recommend them. But I do think that when it comes to the camera experience, Apple is the all-rounder. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. And thank you for watching.